Forget about patient zero.
I can't do that. It's too late for me to build a wall. I'm running out of time. I need specifics. I need answers.
I don't have answers. All you can do is find a way to hide.
It's too loud. It's too loud. Coming over the top!
I have a soft spot for games with simplified graphics and wonky physics. Titles like Human Fall Flat and Gang Beasts are perfect examples of the stupid fun that I seek from time to time. So heading into Fall Guys, I was pretty stoked. Based off its marketing material, it appeared as if it had scratched the stupid game itch, but with a battle royale meets party game design. With such choices, what more could I ask for? Clearly it had to be great, or so I thought. What I got, however, is a game with a great base to evolve from, but one that in its current form isn't worth the cost of entry. Thankfully, I got it for free on PSN Plus. Before heading into my many problems with Fall Guys, I should probably explain what it is for the uninitiated. At its core, it is a competitive multiplayer party game that begins with 60 people, but through a variety of elimination round minigames, only one player can ultimately survive. It's a hectic and at times goofy set of trials. Controls are incredibly simple as you essentially just run, jump, grab, and dive. In its current form, it has 25 different games, and only a small few would I define as, well, good. One called Hexagon is an absolute blast, and I perked up every time it appeared. It's a final stage round that typically begins with around 8 to 12 people, and the objective is to not fall through the many different floors into the perilous pink goo below. It has a simple yet elegant design and makes for a jolly good time. For you see, you can only stand on a floor panel for a second or so before it disappears, and once a panel is gone, it's gone for good. So it becomes a strategic game of hopping and running to stay alive. I wish I could just load into only that game, because it's awesome. Outside of that, there's a couple others I enjoyed, most notably Block Party. In this one you stand on a platform with all the other players, and walls and beams start pushing forward in an attempt to trap you and push you off. Me being the asshole I am, I would deviously grab a hold of other people in an attempt to trap them or throw them off the ledge, and much fun was earned through my tactics.
Long live the king.
The problem is that outside of the small few games I actually like, many either suck and were a boorish chore from the very start, or they started strong and evolved over time due to a lack of variety in their design. In one of the oddest developmental choices of the year, each obstacle course only has one construction in total, meaning that once you've played a course, you know the course. There's no procedural generation that mixes up obstacle placement, nor are there handcrafted variations of each game. It's due to that lack of variety that each minigame is too easily mastered, which makes repeat appearances a tiresome activity of going through the motions. A prime example of this is Slime Climb. It's an obstacle course in which pink slime rises higher and higher, eventually drowning out those stuck on various obstacles, and as should be obvious, the goal is to race up the mountain and cross the finish line before you drown. It's a great concept, and the course is a lot of fun, so at first it was one of my favorite activities. But after just a few rounds, I completely mastered it. I'm not at all embellishing the truth when I say I now get first place 4 out of 5 times the game appears, which is a shame because it's a problem that could have easily been rectified had the developers just created variations of each course. Instead of Slime Climb being one specific set of obstacles, it should have had 5 or so different versions so that it wasn't just the same thing every single time. This lack of variation is Fall Guys' biggest bane. Similar to Slime Climb, there's other courses that at first are fun, like a spinning frenzy of platform hopping called the Whirly Gig, or the hectic seesaw battle of the appropriately titled Seesaw, or even the dizzy jump dance of Dizzy Heights. But with each one only being one set course, they're once again quickly mastered, and I hit the point where I breezed through them as if they were nothing, often getting first or second place. Helping entice players to push forward is a battle pass, and with each level gained, new character customization options are handed out, or even valuable crowns, more on those in a bit. But here's also where the game stumbles. There's 40 levels total, which is a healthy amount, but from level 30 onwards it requires too much fame to move up. I could win a game, and the dent made in progress isn't near enough, so it became a lengthy grind of replaying level after level of games I'd already mastered. I think by this point most people will have long fallen off, and even I wanted to quit well before I hit level 20. But for the sake of this review, as I tend to do, I forced myself to level 40 just to make sure I did everything. With only 25 games total, and the average episode touching upon 4 to 5 of them, if you play well, you can see how these would repeat way too much, especially given the lack of variety within each game. For players who aren't good, the points handed out are much too negligible, and leveling up won't even be feasible after a certain point. It's worth adding that the very first game draws from a small pool of options, so those who struggle to get the hang of things will be stuck playing the same ones over and over and over and over again. My point being, no one will escape the repetitive grind. Grinding and repetitiveness aside, the absolute worst part of Fall Guys is that most of the games just kinda suck. 7 of them are team-based, and they are dreadfully dull. Fall Ball is a version of soccer that is fun for a game or two, but then just becomes annoying each time it appears. Made worse, as in yet another boneheaded developer choice, the teams can be uneven, meaning you can go into a soccer game with only 9 players moving forward, so it becomes a game of 5v4. You can probably guess which team will often win in these circumstances. Outside of that, there's the hoop jumping hoopsie daisy that isn't even fun on its best days, and with no map variation, it once again plays the same. A complaint I have towards the cooties catching Jinx and tail tag. Then there's other ball-based challenges like rock and roll and hoarders. The former sees you push a ball through the same obstacle course in a race to be first or second, and the other is just one where you hit balls to have the most in your corner when the timer ends. Lastly, there's egg scramble, and this can be hectic at times with the goal being to collect the most eggs for your side, which creates a chaotic clash of jelly bean men as you go into each team's sides to steal from their collection, and some of these rounds are fun enough, but a majority of the time it played out the same as every other. On the subject of bad games, easily the worst one in total is tail tag, which you will feel the pain of as there's 3 different versions. There's team tail tag, a mid-game single version, and then an end-game version, and wow is it boring. The end-game one can be a tad intense, being that it's for the crown, but the other 2 are overly long and just a blight of tediousness. No joke, it got to the point where I'd just set my controller down for the first minute or so, only to pick it up at the very end with 30 seconds left, just to steal a tail from someone else. I don't think I ever lost a game doing it this way. Not to hammer the point home, but this works as well as it does because there's no map variety. It's the same arena time and time and time again. On my last day of playing Fall Guys for review, I played for a couple hours with a friend, and I won 4 of the first 6 games we played. Eventually I won another 2 or 3 more. Winning became a bit of a breeze because there's only a total of 4 final games, and like everything else, once you know them, you know them. I'm especially a god at Fall Mountain, which is a set obstacle course that allows for less interaction from other players, meaning enemy randomness is less likely to disrupt your odds, and being it's a course with 0 variance, it always plays out the same. Hey, there's a trend of this. I have my strategy, I stick with it, and I win. As for the other final games, these are more difficult because they play out differently, and these games are where Fall Guys shines. There's Hexagon, mentioned already at the top of this video, Tail Tag, and then the recently added Jump Showdown. The latter begins a tad slow, but once it amps up, it's a sweaty hand-inducing time as one slip-up will result in a loss. I genuinely liked it. Upon winning, you collect a crown, and these are massively beneficial because to get the best costumes, you need them. There is a separate microtransaction-laden currency called kudos, but these can also be won in plenty just by playing, and legendary costumes aren't purchased using them, so it falls on crowns to get those. My favorite 2 costumes in the game are a bullet outfit based on the amazing indie game Enter the Gungeon, and a chicken costume that I think is from Hotline Miami. Earning the full set costs 10 crowns each, so I had to essentially spend 20 wins. This didn't affect me, but for players who struggle to win, I can see the setup upsetting them as only 3 crowns are given in the battle pass. So countless gamers will be gate kept from the best costumes because they are unable to win. Personally, I'm not opposed to this because I like seeing skill get rewarded, but I can see many disagreeing, so it's worth informing you about so you can make the best purchasing decision. In general, costumes are one of the best parts of Fall Guys. I love being able to distinguish myself from others, and there's loads of options already. There's upper and lower body pieces, body colors, face colors, and clothing patterns, and these come in different tiers such as common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. I like showing off my expensive costumes, and it also allowed me to create my own metagame. When I saw others with such getups, I would go out of my way to try and cause them to lose. My logic being that they are better at the game, so why not hurt the competition? It was this own game created within the game that allowed for some truly fun moments. Sabotaging other players was often a joy. As I said, I'm a bit of an asshole. It's just a shame I had to try so hard to make my own fun, because the races didn't do it for me. Like, I don't mean to go so hard on what is essentially a cheap party game, but it sucks to see so many stumbles, because at its very core, there is a great game here. Fall Guys can and should work, and with all my many complaints, I think it has a bright future. I'm genuinely interested to see where it goes from here. I think as it evolves, the devs will add the variation I so desperately seek, along with new game modes, minigames, and the like. It just sucks that in its current form, I'm so exhausted from playing it. Come Season 2, they would have to double the amount of games or add variants to every single pre-existing one for me to come back. The last thing I want to do is replay the ones I've already played hundreds of times. But I don't see that happening so soon, so more than likely I will wait a good year before hopping back in. This as a means of letting new material pile up, and that way when I return, it feels like an entirely new game again. To those anxious to jump in, I honestly think you should wait until Season 2. The current one at the time of this recording ends in 48 days, and within that time period, it's likely the devs will make changes which allows for a better game. But don't be like me and grind it out now, because you will likely lose interest. And again, this game at its core is too good, and I don't think you should let yourself be as disappointed as me. As it stands now, there's also a few technical issues to be ironed out. The servers are notoriously bad, and nothing sucks more than hitting the final round only to be disconnected. There's also a startling lack of game options, and someone I was trying to play with had to quit because the lack of being able to set up inverted controls drove her crazy. At this current point in time, I'm going to avoid scoring this game with this review, because given it will be evolving with each passing month, I want to give it a bit more of a chance before judging it on a numerical basis. If there's anything you should take from this review, it's that you shouldn't grind it like I did. Let the devs add more, because in a year, I truly think this game will be worth investing in.